5 years ago or something, thanks to the help of Michelle Tamarin. Any questions, talk to Michelle or talk to Marla, but join us. Lots of things happening. We have a Simchat Torah dance party. Don't forget, High Holidays doesn't end at Yom Kippur. They end actually at the end of Sukkot, Simchat Torah. But check your handouts or your booklets for lots of upcoming events. So with that, we'll begin with a little nigun. No, I'm not doing Jingle Bells. Somebody said that to me. A one-time deal. We're going back to Kiva Moed. Ya na 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la 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 Kiva Moed Kiva Moed Kiva Moed Kiva Moed Kiva Moed ay 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 la 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 hi la 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 hi la 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 hi la la hi la la hi la la hi la 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 hi la 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 Kiva Moed Kiva Moed Kiva Moed Kiva Moed Shalom Moed. No, just kidding. So we're going to sing a little bit later on. We do have the Ruach Rally / Hakafa where we take the tours around and celebrate because whenever you take the tours out, you're supposed to celebrate, and we really do that here. So we'll sing more in a little bit, in a few minutes. Several men recently, I was told, were in the locker room at Kernwood Country Club. Cell phone on the bench rang. Man engaged the hand speaker function, and everybody was listening. I won't tell you who the guy was. Everyone else in the room stops to listen. The man says, hello. The woman says, hi, honey, it's me. Are you at the club? The man says, yes. The woman said, I'm at Something Suitable, and I'm talking to Ellen Turkanis, and she's got a $1,000 bag. It's on sale. I want to buy it. And the man says, for you, dear, go ahead. Anything. Ugh. Woman says, you're amazing. Also, I stopped by Prime Mercedes dealership, and I was talking to David Rosenberg, and the new 2012s are out, and can I get it? How much is it? $80,000. For that price, make sure Rosenberg throws in all the bells and the whistles. Wow, you're amazing, says the woman. And I also recently was at the Stop and Shop, and guess who I bumped into? Phyllis Sagan. And that house we love is back on the market, right? It's under $1 million. Can we go for it? All right, but tell Phyllis nothing over $950. You're the best, honey. Thank you. I love you. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye. Goodbye. The man hangs up. The other men are horrified. They're sitting there looking at him in astonishment, and he says, anybody know whose cell phone this is? The perfect man. The perfect man. Here's the perfect man riddle. The perfect man riddle goes something like this. There was a perfect man and a perfect woman. They met each other at a perfect little party. They dated for 2 perfect years. They had a perfect wedding, perfect honeymoon, and of course, 2.1 perfect children, right? One day, the perfect man and the perfect woman were driving their perfect little car. They saw an elf by the side of the road. Being the perfect people they were, they stopped to pick him up. Well, as the perfect man and the perfect woman were driving in their perfect little car on this perfect little day down the perfect little road, something happened and they got into an accident. One passenger died. Who died? Who died? It's the riddle. The perfect woman, of course. Why do we know that? Because elves and the perfect man are make-believe. So don't worry, man. I know men are hyperventilating right now. They're going 2 years flashback to Rabbi B's broken mail sermon 2 years ago where I shared male online pornography statistics, or where I made fun of grown men for wearing the jersey of another grown man on his back. That's just weird. I know there's trauma therapy still taking place over that sermon. Don't worry. This is not about the perfect man. There's no such thing as a perfect man, but women, this is not about the perfect woman either, except for my wife. There is no such thing as the perfect woman. I just saw her walk in, so I had to. This is not a talk condemning imperfections, the opposite. Lehefech, as we say in Hebrew, it's a talk condemning perfections, because illusions of perfection, delusions of perfection, impossible standards of perfection are wreaking havoc upon us as a world, a society, as a community, as families, and as individuals. And there are so many areas we could talk about this, standards of perfection and people not living up to those levels of perfection. Like maybe I could start with the Boston Red Sox, but I won't start there. I could go to the body, which is a real one, right? I would say a plague of the 21st century is our delusions of the perfect body, causing eating disorders and food addictions and body obsessions. It's literally destroying certain segments of our population. But it's another sermon for another time. We could talk about obsession with perfection in regards to education, getting into the right perfect school, the perfect job, the perfect amount of money. The list goes on and on. But I want to share with you one area that I believe is truly wreaking havoc, and maybe we haven't even thought about how it might be doing so. Perfection when it comes to relationships, particularly when it comes to dating, is palpable. You can see it. You can measure it. We are adding new phobias to our lexicon. In the DSM-4, there are new phobias being added all the time. Here's a new phobia. We'll talk more about it on Yom Kippur. Anuptophobia, the fear of staying single. And it's a real fear. In a society where more and more people are staying single for longer and longer than ever before in the history of humanity, maybe not even marrying at all, which is related to another fear called gamophobia, the fear of commitment, the fear of settling down, the fear of marriage. I see a lot of moms out there diagnosing their bachelor sons right now, but it's not a joke. I know you're expecting a joke. You're expecting the 3 rings joke, right? I promised my wife I wouldn't say it, the 3 rings joke. Every relationship has 3 rings, the engagement ring, the wedding ring, the suffering. It's not true. It's not true. She's the perfect woman. She'll forgive me for saying it. It's not true, though, and this is not a joke. This is absolutely not a joke. It's wreaking havoc upon the way we look at our relationships. And also from a Jewish perspective, one of the biggest challenges today are Jews marrying later than the average population. Some good reasons. Some great reasons, right? Education, freedom, choice. But there's also some consequences, demographic consequences, personal consequences. I counsel so many young couples through infertility. It's a major problem as we get married later and later. This isn't to say everybody has to get married to live a complete life. It is not to say everybody needs to have children to have a meaningful existence. Absolutely not. But what disturbs me more than anything, one of the core reasons why people are getting married later and later, and I hear it in the word or 2 words, I forgot to look it up, the words that I hate put together in our language. I think they've been perverted beyond retrieval, and that is soulmates. Right? Soulmates has been so whitewashed, brainwashed by our society and peers and stories of silly soulmate love that never did exist, never will exist. Do you know how many people come and talk to me and say, Rabbi, I'm passionate about this person, I'm attracted to this person, we have the same values, we've been dating for 2 years, for 12 years, for 22 years, I'm just not certain, right? She or he's the one, I'm not certain they're my soulmate. You can read that as I'm not certain they're my perfect rate, or you can read that as I am not sure that they are perfect, because that's what this is about, right? Perfection without imperfection, without wrinkles, without love handles, without bad credit, bad hairline, bad in-laws, without any imperfections, but it's an impossible thing to find. It does not exist, and it is wreaking havoc upon our society. Now, when I talk to these couples, or singles, but maybe they're in a relationship that's not quite yet a marriage, it reminds me of being in a restaurant and ordering a la carte, right? I listen to what they're looking for, and it's just shocking. They want the person to be funny, but not too funny. They want the person to be serious, but not too serious. They want the person to be motivated, but not a workaholic. Jewish, but not too Jewish. Not giving up my Shabbos, right? Not even for Shirat Hayam. The list goes on and on. Again, a la carte, off the menu. Add to it like being with my mom, ordering a la carte off the menu, or my mother-in-law, or my wife, or my grandmother, maybe it's all Jewish women, are ordering, tweaking this and substituting that, and this on the side, and that instead of that. It's endearing, and it's beautiful, and it's holy when I'm dining with my mother-in-law, my wife, who's here, both are here, and my mom, who's on the internet. I'm in big trouble after this talk. It's endearing. It makes for an eventful dining experience, but it's destructive when it comes to relationships. Right? This is no way to go about our relationships. People are not a la carte. People are not perfect. Your boyfriend can't be sent back to the kitchen to bake a little longer. Your girlfriend can't be sent back to the chef for a little more spice. People are who they are. People are not perfect, and neither are soulmates. Never have been, never will be. Perfection in the realm of relationships, it's an illusion, it's a distraction, it's a lie, and it's getting in the way of our dating and our marriages and our relationship with our parents or our children or our friends or our community or you name it. Imperfection, not perfection, is the way of life. And this is why I love our Torah. Our Torah is so honest and real. Jews come here seeking on the high holidays something big, something transformational, right? We sift through the Machzor, looking for the profound. We listen to the rabbi's sermon, hoping he talk about something that's not ordinary, that's not mundane, but the truth of the matter is, life is ordinary, life is mundane, it's simple, it's real, and so the tradition demands that we talk about and deal with the mundane and the ordinary and the simple and the real, because that's where life happens, and that's where our Torah takes place. And that's why we read about yesterday and today, real life stuff. That's why we read about Abraham and Sarah. Abraham and Sarah had a beautiful relationship. Abraham and Sarah, I would call soulmates. If what you mean by soulmates is loving, probably affectionate, certainly dedicated and loyal in service to one another. But they were also soulmates if what you mean by that was hurts and struggles and betrayals and everything in between. Was it a beautiful marriage? Yes. Was it a holy marriage? Absolutely. Was it a perfect marriage? There is no such thing. Imperfection, not perfection, is what defines marriages and all relationships in our life. And that's why we read the Torah. We read the Torah to read about Sarah. You know, Sarah sometimes is called Sarah Imenu, Sarah our foremother. And she's portrayed as a saint. The problem is, in Judaism, we don't have saints. Sarah is a real-life person who, during good times and her best self, she's reaching out to wayfarers passing by her tent, running to cook them meals, to take care of them, to treat them with kavod, with dignity. And yet, in yesterday's Torah reading, she's far less than that. The way she treats Hagar, the way she treats Hagar's son, her stepson, Ishmael, is appalling. And there's just no way to spin it. Was Sarah a generous and kind person? Yes, but she could be calloused and she could be cruel. Why? Because Sarah's life was complicated. Sarah the woman was complicated. Sarah, like everyone else, is human, fallible, not infallible, and imperfect. And then there's Abraham, Avram Avinu. We say Abraham and we just kind of quake in our boots. This man must have been perfect, right? The founder of Judaism, later Christianity, later Islam, all coming from this man. And there's a rabbinic debate about today's Torah portion. Was this the pinnacle, the high point of his existence and his service, or was it the nadir, the low point? Goes back and forth, and I've spoke about it so you know where I stand. I just have to come down to it was the low point in this man's life. It was an imperfect, not a perfect moment. Why? Because Abraham and Sarah never speak again after this moment. In fact, it's so bad, the rabbis say, immediately after, in the next Torah portion, Sarah finds out about this, what Abraham was going to do, almost offering up their son Isaac as a sacrifice,
and she has a heart attack. She dies of a broken heart. I can't believe this is a perfect moment in Avraham Avinu's life. Abraham and Isaac, father and son, never speak again. How great of a moment can it be if a father and a son never share words, never share another moment in their life in this world together? And most of all, God never speaks to Abraham again. It's questionable, did God speak to Abraham in this moment, or was it an angel? The text is, we're not sure. But what's clear is God never calls upon Abraham again, and seemingly Abraham never calls upon God. I can't believe that that's a perfect moment. I can't believe in a God that would call us to sacrifice a child, but I can believe in a man who made a mistake. And I can believe in Avraham Avinu because he wasn't perfect, and I can forgive him because he righted his wrongs and moved on with his life and did better the next go around. Abraham was not perfect. He was not the perfect husband. He was not the perfect son. He was not the perfect uncle. He was not the perfect father. In fact, he was a heck of a bad dad. Abraham wasn't perfect, but you know what? Moses had anger management problems. Miriam was a yenta, a gossip. Isaac was emotionally unavailable. Rebecca clearly abusive, pitting her boys against each other. Joseph, so arrogant. David was an adulterer. The list goes on and on and on. Imperfection in the Torah is the standard. It's not the exception to the rule. And this is one of the greatest gifts of the Jewish people, of our Torah, that it is so honest and real. In fact, my teacher, Dennis Prager, says, the Torah is the only religious text in the history of humanity, not just to record the heroic moments, the perfect moments, the shining moments, but to record imperfections, warts, flaws, and all. It is all there, canonized, codified in textual form for thousands and thousands of years of Jews and Christians and the world to turn to remind ourselves, if you're imperfect, then you are not alone. What does the Torah demand from us then, if not perfection? Here's what it demands: that if you're imperfect, which everyone is, then work towards perfection, but give yourself a break for not quite being there. When you make your imperfect mistakes, as all mistakes are and as we must do, write them the next time. Write your wrongs, right? Don't just show up on Yom Kippur saying, I'll do better. Go out into the world and say, I'm sorry, and do what you got to do to live, to give, to grow, to do teshuvah, to return. And that's what we have to remember on Rosh Hashanah. That's what we have to remember right here on our calendar right now, because our matriarchs and patriarchs couldn't help but stumble and falter and fall down and fail, but each and every one of them picked themselves up time after time after time, and they moved forward in their lives, not with perfection, but towards perfection, accepting imperfections and all. And that brings us thousands of years later. Thousands of years later, and nothing has changed. We think we're so enlightened. We're so far beyond Abraham and Sarah, right? We're different. We're not. Nothing has changed. I look around this room, and I see so many people, every single person here, who's dealing with issues of perfection or imperfection, who can't accept imperfections in their child, in their parent, in their spouse, in their neighbor, in their community, in their rabbi, in their cantor, in their teacher, in their doctor, you name it. This is how we live. Each and every one of us having impossible standards of perfection for everybody, including ourselves. And that's probably the greatest tragedy of all, when we expect ourselves to be perfect, and day in, day out, we do not measure up, and we fail ourselves over and over again. And so what do? We turn to the Torah, and we remind ourselves of the Torah's message. Right? And now more than ever, we need this message, because I look at women today, and they are asked the impossible, right? They are being asked more than ever before in human history. The average woman today is working 2 jobs, one at home, tending to the home. And by the way, if there are 2 people at home, and one of them is a male, the female is still doing 80% of the housework. As egalitarian as we are, we're still not truly egalitarian. It's not a 50-50 scenario, not in your average home. So she's running a job, a full job, working a full job at home and out in the world. And in between, she's running shuttle services, because I watch it, dropping the kids off to Hebrew school or bar bat mitzvah lessons or ball practice or music lessons. I'd like to say it's a 50-50 split, but I watch out my window every single day, and it's about a 90-10 split. The women are dropping their kids off. Nothing against men, but let's be honest and say that more is being asked of women today than ever before in human history, all the while, back to that body perfection, she is being told by society, Madison Avenue, peers, community, spouse, the world, right, that she has to have the perfect body to be flawless and wrinkle-free and defy gravity and defy time and defy imperfection. It's a tall order. It's an impossible order. The responsibilities are mounting. The pressure is overwhelming. There is simply no way as a woman today you won't stumble, you won't falter, you won't fail because you're a human being and because you are imperfect. And we've already established there's no such thing as a perfect man. That's make-believe. Men don't have it any easier than women. Men are still asked to go out into the world and to hunt and to trap and to bring home the kill. The form has changed. Clearly, most of us are not Jewish hunters. In fact, I don't know too many Jewish hunters, but we still go out into the world for the hunt. We still go out into a very difficult, aggressive, dangerous world. We can wax as poetic as we want, but the demands placed upon the primary income provider in a home, which, again, not egalitarian, is still by and large the male in the household, not always, but often, is a very tall order because he's also supposed to come home and turn it off and be gentle and be kind and put down the iPhone and put down his worries and be a part of the domestic home life. And thank God for that. I don't want to return to previous generations. I do believe that I and other men should return home from work and raise our children and participate in taking care of the home. But it's a very hard thing to flip a switch and to not worry while you're at the table with the family about rising mortgages and healthcare costs and tuition bills and bar mitzvah costs and synagogue dues. And it's a lot. It's a tall order for men and for women. I do so much counseling for men who feel like they are failures, with chronic feelings of failures, for men and women, parents of all ages who live with that chronic failure, sharing with me that they feel like failures for not having paid for enough, provided for enough, given enough of themselves, their time, their money, their resources, attention, affection. There isn't a parent in here who hasn't felt like an imperfect parent from time to time, or maybe all the time. And adult children today, we're asked something that has never been asked before in human history. Thank God our parents are living longer and longer. Simultaneously, our lives are becoming more and more complicated. What exactly do we owe a parent today? How much do we pay in regards to health care, right? What do we owe a parent? Is it indefinite? Is it ongoing? What happens when it starts cutting into your life, your family's life and lifestyle? I don't have a good answer. All I'm saying is it's really complicated, and people before in history have never had to ask these questions to deal with the implications. What do you do in a transplanted world where we live thousands and thousands of miles from our parents, our grandparents, our children from their boobies and zadies? Right? It used to be you don't call enough. Now you don't call enough, you don't text enough, you don't email enough, you don't IM enough, you don't Skype enough. I live with this, not guilt put on me, guilt I put upon myself. I live with so much guilt, sorry Mom, for not having set up more Skype opportunities between my mom and her grandchildren. I live with guilt for not putting 4 children on a plane and sending them off to see Booby for her birthday. I would get on that plane, in case you were wondering. I still feel guilt not having gotten on that plane with the 4 children. What do you do? It's a complicated world where families are transplanted and divorced and just all of the modern complexities. There isn't a person here who hasn't felt like an imperfect daughter or an imperfect son, like they are failing as they lived imperfect lives. That's each and every one of us, maybe each and every day. And kids are not exempt from this. Watch kids today. They are running ragged running ragged. Our kids are under enormous pressure, massive workloads, massive backpacks. I think you can measure the pressure by the size of the backpacks. Back in my day, today, these backpacks are unbelievable with all that we're asking them to do. And they're being bombarded by their society, their peers, their parents, that you're not enough. You got to go out and do more and become more and achieve more. We may not say it, but we show it in the lives we've created for them. We tell them over and over, as you are, you're imperfect. You are not enough. So get out into the world and become perfect and do some perfect work. And in regards to our families, right? There are so many expectations and responsibilities. It's not possible to be perfect. Our friends, I can't keep up with my friends on Facebook and my friends on, you name it, 1,000 different places on the web, and my friends in Swampscott, Marblehead, and my friends back in California, and my rabbinical school friends. How, in this complicated world, do we not fail to tend to our friends, to neglect our friends? It's impossible. There's not enough time in the day. It's not possible to be perfect. And in regards to our community, synagogue expects something from us, Federation expects something from us, JCC, JFS, the list goes on and on. That's just the Jewish community, right? We don't give enough, we don't participate enough, we're not present enough. It's impossible to be perfect because we are imperfect. Yesterday I spoke about Superman and Wonder Woman, and I think they're important myths to form our childhood ideas around. And we have one of these myths in Judaism. It's called the tzaddik. Have you heard of a tzaddik? Right? A tzaddik is a purely righteous individual. And the mystics say that there are the Lamed Vavniks, 36 purely righteous individuals in the world at any given time. The problem with this, it's a myth. It doesn't really exist. It's an important idea that there's always light in a darkened world. But at the very least, I know you're not a tzaddik. I certainly am not a tzaddik. I don't think I've ever met a purely, holy, unequivocally perfect human being. But isn't it interesting that that's not the myth we tell our kids when they're standing here for their bar bat mitzvah? When I'm giving them a charge, or you're giving them the charge, what do you say? Go out into the world and be a tzaddik? No. You say, go out into the world and be a mensch. Why a mensch? Because a mensch is an ordinary man. It's an ordinary woman who lives an ordinary life, but continually and constantly picks himself up over and over again, picks herself up when she has failed, when she has fallen down, dusts himself off, rights her wrongs, and moves forward doing better the next time in their life. We don't charge our kids to become tzaddikim, but to become a mensch. Because we are not superheroes. We are ordinary human beings, and each and every one of us needs a mom or a dad at any age. At 13 or 50 or 99 years old, we need a mom and a dad to take us by the shoulders and to look at us and to say, son, daughter, you are okay. You are not perfect. You have been put here for a reason, and I imagine you're doing the best you can. And if you haven't done better, if you've dropped the ball, if you've hurt another person, even if you've betrayed somebody, then learn your lessons, pay your dues, and do better the next time. This is the message of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. This is why we're here for the next 10 days, to make amends, to right our wrongs, and then to forgive ourselves. Because in counseling people, I have found that this weighs on people more than anything else, the inability to forgive ourselves, to which Martin Luther King said, the supreme act of courage is forgiving ourselves. That which I was not, but could have been, that which I would have done, but did not do. Can I find the fortitude to remember in truth, to understand, to submit, to forgive myself, to be free to move on with my life? You are not Superman, and you are not Superwoman or Wonder Woman. We read in our text, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor. You are not expected to be perfect from our tradition's eyes. Aval lo ata ben chorin levatel mimena. But you are not off the hook from giving it your best from you giving it your best effort, from getting out into the world and being a mensch and doing the best you can with what you've been given, where you're at, what you've got. That, my friends, is enough. That, brothers and sisters, is why we are here. And it reminds me of the words from the musical rock group, 5 for fighting, Superman, right, who said, "You're only human. You're only a man in a funny red sheet. You're only a woman looking for a dream. It may sound absurd, but don't be naive. Even heroes have the right to bleed. And it's not easy to be you, and it is not easy to be me." And we're going to join with Cantor Lana. The words are on the page. You can either join in if you know the song, hum along, or just sit and reflect. None of us are Superman, and we're not supposed to be.
About a home I'll never see. It may sound absurd, but don't be naive. Even heroes have the right to bleed. I may be disturbed, but won't you concede? Even heroes have the right to dream. It's not easy to be me. Up and away from me. It's alright. You can all sleep sound tonight. I'm not crazy or anything. I can't stand to fly. I'm not that naive. Men weren't meant to ride with clouds between their knees. I'm only a man in a silly red sheet, digging for kryptonite on this one-way street. Only a man in a funny red sheet, looking for special things inside of me, inside of me, inside of me, inside of me. Inside of me, I'm only a man in a funny red sheet, only a man looking for a dream. I'm only a man in a funny red sheet. It's not easy. Ooh. It's not easy to be.
It's not easy to be you, it's not easy to be me, so forgive other people for the next 10 days, but most of all, forgive yourself. Shana Tova. We'll be putting the Sifrei Torah away now as we continue. Please rise.
שערים אשתכם והינשאו פתחי עולם ויבוא מלך הכבוד ויבוא מלך הכבוד שאו שערים אשתכם והינשאו פתחי עולם ויבוא מלך הכבוד ויבוא מלך הכבוד מי זה מלך הכבוד? אדוני ישוע זה גיבור אדוני גיבור נחמה מי זה מלך הכבוד? אדוני ישוע זה גיבור אדוני גיבור נחמה שאו שערים אשתכם ושאו פתחי עולם ויבוא מלך הכבוד ויבוא מלך הכבוד שאו שערים אשתכם ושאו פתחי עולם ויבוא מלך הכבוד ויבוא מלך הכבוד מי הוא זה מלך הכבוד אדוני הוא מלך הכבוד מי הוא זה מלך הכבוד אדוני הוא מלך הכבוד זה לי 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 לי
Shema. Every person, every breath. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Come feel free to dance up here. We're dancing. It's Rosh Hashanah. We're happy to be alive. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Put your hands together. Kol Shema Til Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Over here, it's too quiet. Til Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. It's that time. You're already standing. Half of it's done for you this year. Now all you have to do is reach out. Put your arm around the person next to you. We are brothers and sisters. We are all Am Echad Lev Echad, one people, one heart. If I don't see you with your arm around somebody, I'll just say your name, that's all. La 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 la. Come on, Turcanuses. Let's go. La 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 la. Kiva Moed. Kiva Moed. It means the time is now. The time to celebrate. Reach out. Come on, Epstein brothers. Reach out. Ay ay ay. Ay ay ay. La 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 la. La 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 la. Ya la la ya la la. Ya la 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 ya la. La la ya la 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 ya la ya la ya la ya la ya la. Kiva Moed. Kiva Moed. Kiva Moed. We're not stopping till everybody's schwitzing. Here we go. Ay ay ay. Ay ay ay. Ya la 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 ya la. La la ya la la la. Ya la la ya la la. Ya la 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 ya la 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 la. La 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 ya la. Everybody on the internet. Up in your family rooms. On your feet. Joining with us. Kiva Moed. Kiva Moed. Kiva Moed. Shalom. We don't stop yet. It's not over. We're singing for peace. We want peace in the Middle East. We want peace with our Palestinian brothers and sisters in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. We want peace with Muslims, Egypt, Syria, Turkey, Iran. We want peace in the world, but it begins at home. It begins here. It begins now. Salam aleinu ve'akol. If you can't say salam, there will never be peace. If you can't sing it, there won't be peace. Salam aleinu ve'akol ha'olam. Salam. Here we go now, little chutzpah. Ojevo shalom aleinu, Ojevo shalom aleinu, Ojevo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Ojevo shalom aleinu, Ojevo shalom aleinu, Ojevo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, salam. Here we go now, big finish, come on now, everybody! Ojevo shalom aleinu, Ojevo shalom aleinu, Ojevo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Ojevo shalom aleinu, Ojevo shalom aleinu, Ojevo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, salam. Ojevo shalom. We're not stopping until Yom Kippur, unless everybody's singing. Al kulam. Ojevo shalom aleinu. Ojevo shalom aleinu. Ojevo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Ojevo shalom aleinu. Ojevo shalom aleinu. Ojevo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam.
shalom aleinu, hojabo shalom aleinu, hojabo shalom aleinu, ve'akula.
Shana Tova.
That's a wrap.
Beit Chaim lama chazikim ba v'tomcha me'oshar derecheha darcheinom v'chol netivoteha shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadish Chadish Yameinu Chadish Yameinu
So you can be seated, you can transition down the hall to the kids' activities, and here will be the shofar service. As we find our seats, we prepare ourselves for the blast, the wake-up call of the shofar. And our sitting song. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manaim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manaim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov shnayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Keep it going. We'll find our way to our next venue. If you're in the halls, schmooze away, but out in the lobby. Hine ma tovu manayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. And we will begin with a reading. We have two readings. We'll have a guest reader in a moment. This is called Memory of the Shofar. There are sounds which we first heard as children. We have those sounds engraved on our minds. Like ancient riverbeds, long dry in our inner ear. Years later, when we've grown, those early sounds will open up those ancient streams, and the place and the moment of that early music will flow again across our memory. And we are at once transported there, splashing and cooling spray like the children we still are, with all the joy and playfulness and awe we thought had long dried up in our mature life. Buried even deeper in us than our childhood is the childhood of our people, when we were wandering and playing at the foot of Sinai, full of wonder and confusion as the cloud appeared and holy fire and thundering voices out of the heaven and the sounds of the shofar. Each year when the shofar sounds for us again, the cloud appears above the riverbed of memory, and we know that it is sufficient wonder and confusion will fill our minds. The holy fire will burn once more, and voices from our modest shofar will thunder out of heaven once again. If only we can listen, the moment and the place will flow again, and we can splash with the child our people was at the beginning in the stream because of the shofar. We'll continue
as we turn our machzorim to page 244, and we'll read Sounds of the Shofar.
May the sound of the shofar shatter our complacency and make us conscious of the corruptions in our lives.
May the sound of the shofar penetrate our souls.
May the sound of the shofar break the bonds of our enslavement to the evil impulse and enable us to serve the Lord with a whole heart. May the sound of the shofar awaken us to the enormity of our sins and the vastness of God's mercy for those who truly repent. May the sound of the shofar recall the moment when we stood at Mount Sinai and uttered the promise, all that the Lord has spoken we will keep and obey.
May the sound of the shofar recall the promise of the ingathering of the exiles and stir within us renewed devotion to the land of Israel.
May the sound of the shofar recall the vision of the prophets of the day when all people will live in peace.
Sounds of the shofar.
May the sound of the shofar remind us that it is time to proclaim liberty throughout the land to all inhabitants thereof.
May the shofar become our jubilant shout of joy on the day of the promised long-awaited redemption.
May the sound of the shofar enter our hearts, for blessed is the people that hearkens to its call.
Continue on page 242.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, asher kiddushanu b'tzosav v'tzivanu lashma kol shofar.
Page 245.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, shechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Amen. Praised are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has taught us the way of holiness through the mitzvot, has commanded us to hear the sound of the shofar. Praised are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has kept us in life, sustained us, enabled us to reach this season. Please rise. Tekiah, Shvarim Tuah, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvarim Tuah, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvarim Tuah, Tekiah. Can be seated. 246 will join together. Give heed to the sound of the shofar, the shrill, quivering notes of the shofar, sounding its message of warning, its cry of alarm and awakening, urging us to labor together to combat war and violence, accept the challenge to battle against fear, hate, and destruction. Remove from your midst all oppression, banish all greed and contention. Give heed to the sound of the shofar, the blast that is blown of my people. And so we'll continue with the sounding of the shofar on page 246, as once again we rise. Tekiah, Shvari, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvari, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shvarim, Tekiah. Join me at the bottom of 246. Give heed to the sound of the shofar, the loud clarion call of the shofar, bringing new hope to the suffering and strength to those stricken with sorrow, bringing to Israel assurance of healing, peace, and redemption. Renew your faith and devotion to a people land. Remember the covenant.
Tkiya. Trua. Tkiya. Tkiya. Trua. Tkiya. Tkiya. Trua. Tkiya Gedola. Cantor Mill, you just got a call out, shout out. I think he might have won. 248, we can be seated.
Sorry.
As we continue, as the cantor recovers, page 248, the calls of the shofar.
Okay. For untold generations on this day, our ancestors listened to the sound of the shofar. What did they hear in its piercing tones? What solemn truths did they detect in its calls, which stirred them so profoundly each year?
And what does the
shofar
shofar say to us today as we stand at the dawn of a new year, groping for a light to guide us and a faith to sustain us?
Tekiyah, awake. Let not habit dull your minds, nor comfort harden your hearts. Examine your deeds, look well into your soul, mend your ways, turn to God.
As we hear the sharp tekiah blast, let us rouse ourselves from smugness and self-satisfaction, from callousness and self-righteousness.
Shvarim, the broken refrain. Listen to the staccato cry. Hear the echoes of sighing and weeping, the deprived and the distressed, the neglected and the enslaved, the bruised and the broken. All cry out for relief from their pain, for release from their torment.
As we hear the anguished wail, Shvarim, let us open the ears and cries of the afflicted and the oppressed, and let our hearts respond with compassion and love.
Teruah, the call to battle is sounded. Join the struggle against evil and suffering. Give of your bread to those who hunger. Give of your strength to those who stumble. Give of your time to the lonely and forsaken. Heal the wounded. Comfort the bereaved. To the truest call to action, for in our hands, in our hearts, and in our minds are the means for building a better world, for fulfilling the promise of peace and justice, and for hastening the day when all will hear the sound of the great shofar of liberation.
As we get ready for the Hineni prayer, we'll do one more reading just to prepare for the weight of it. It's a significant prayer, as I've explained before. We'll turn to page 858. It's a prayer. The Hineni prayer is really the cantor's taking upon him or herself, right, the iniquities, the sins, the transgressions, the imperfections of all of us. And at times we all need somebody to help carry our load, to carry our burden. And so that's really what the Hineni is about. And to get ready for that, we turn to page 858, A Vision of the Future.
We perceive a community great in numbers, mighty in power, enjoying life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Not mere breathing space, full liberty. Real happiness, not that of pasture beasts, actively participating in the progress of the country.
Yet deeply rooted in the soil of Judaism, clinging to its past, working for its future.
Attached to the land of their ancestors as the cradle and resting place of the Jewish spirit.
With no conviction crippled, with no emotion stifled, receiving and resisting, not yielding like wax to every impress from the outside.
Adding a new note to the richness of American life, leading a new current into the stream of civilization, a sharply marked community, distinct and distinguished.
And marked will be their seed among the nations, and their offspring among the peoples. Amen.
So with that, we will continue on page 279, Hineni.
Rosh v'nivachad mipachad yoshet tehilot Yisrael Botilamad ulechanein ulechanein alamecha Yisrael asher shelachoni Afapi sheyeni chedai v'hagun lecha לכן אבקש ממך אלוהי אברהם ואלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב אדוני אדוני El Rachum v'chanun El Rachum v'chanun Elohei Yisrael Ay, 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 ay Shaddai Ayam V'Nora Shaddai Ayam V'Nora Eyena Matzliach Darki Asher Ani Holech Lamod ולחנן רחמים עלי שאול שולחי. וירצון מלפניך אדוני אלוהי אברהם ואלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב האל הגדול הגיבור והרע אל העליון אהיה אשר אהיה שתבוא תפילת ביתי לפני כיסא כבודך בעבור כל הצדיקים והחסידים התמימים והישרים ובעבור כבוד שמך הגדול והנורא הגדול והנורא כי אתה שומע תפילת עמך ישראל ברוך אתה שומע 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 תפילה
Continue back on page 266, Chatzi Kaddish.
ויתקדש שמי רבה ביעלמר דברך ירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חול וביום אחד ולחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן יהי שמי רבם לברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמייך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילם לעילם יכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחה
continue as the ark is opened. We rise, page 280, 280.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מסוד חכמים ונבונים, ומלמד דעת מבינים, הבטחה פי בתפילה ובתחנונים, לחלות ולחנן פני מלך מלכי המלכים ואדוני האדונים. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים החיים. וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים החיים. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים וחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלי ורופך עולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני יפה. וכמוך כל גבורות ומידות מלך, מלך מביתו מחיה ומצליח ישועה. מי כמוך עד הרחמים, זוכר צוריו לחיים ברחמים, זוכר צוריו לחיים ברחמים. ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. משנה תוקף קדושת היום, כי הוא נורא והיום, ובוא תנשא מלכותך, וייכון בחסד כיסאך, ותשב עליו באמת. אמת, כי אתה הוא דיין ומוכיח, ויודע ועד, וכותב וחותם, וסופר ומענה, ותזכור כל הנשכחות, ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות, ומאליו יקרא, וחותם יד כל אדם בו. ובשופר גדול ייתקע, וכל דממה דקה יישמע, ומלאכים יחפשון, וכאילו רעדה יאחזון, ויאמרו הנה יום הדין, לפקוד על צבא מרום בדין, כי לא יזכו בעיניך בדין. וכל הבאי עולם יעברו לפניך, כי ונאמרון, כי בקרת רואה עדרו, מעביר צאנו, תחת שבטו, כן תעביר ותספור ותמנה, ותפקוד נפש כל חי, ותחתוך קצבה לכל בריאה, ותכתוב את גזר דינם. בראש השנה יכתבון, וביום צום כיפור יחתמון. בראש השנה יכתבון, וביום צום כיפור יחתמון. בראש השנה יכתבון, וביום צום כיפור יחתמון. כמה יעברון, וכמה יבריון, כמה יעברון, וכמה יבריון. מי יחיה בראש השנה ייכתבו, וביום צום כיפור ייכתבו. מבראש ומבמגפה, מבחניקה ומבסקילה, בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייכתבון. בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור ייכתבון. מי ינוח ומי ינוח, מי שקט ומי טרף, מי שלב ומתייסר, מי עשיר ומי עני, מי שפל ומי ירום. ותשובה ותפילה וצדקה מעבירים את רוע הגזרה.
Continue in the middle of page 284.
כי כשמך כן תהילתך, קשה לכעוס ונוח לרצות, כי לא תחפוץ במות המת, כי אם בשובו מדרכו וחיה וחיה. ויד יומותיך כלו, אם ישוב מיד, מיד תקבלו. אמת כי אתה הוא יותרם, ואתה יודע יתרם, כי הם בשר ודם. אדם יסודו מעפר, וסופו בנפשו יביא לחמו, משול כחרס הנשבר, כקציר יבש וחציץ נובר, כצל עובר, וכיינן כלוא, וכרוח נושבת, וכאבק פורח, ואתה הוא מלך אל החי, וכיום.
The ark is closed. We can be seated for a moment. How about we join together at the top of page 285? We'll read the first paragraph. On Rosh Hashanah it is written, and Yom Kippur it is sealed. Together, how many shall leave this world, and how many shall be born? Who shall live, and who shall die? Who in the fullness of years, and who before? Who shall perish by fire, and who by water? Who by sword, and who by wild beast? Who by famine, and who by thirst? Who by earthquake, who by plague? Who by strangling, who by stoning? Who shall rest, and who shall wander? Who shall be serene, and who disturbed? Who shall be at ease, and who afflicted? Who shall be impoverished, and who enriched? Who shall be humbled, and who exalted? But repentance, prayer, and deeds of kindness can remove the severity of the decree. We'll continue now on page 287 as we read To Face the Future.
We look to the future with hope, yet with trembling, knowing that uncertainties accompany the new year.
Help us, O God, to look forward with faith, to help learn from whatever the future may bring.
If we must face disappointment, help us to learn patience.
Safe sorrow, help us to learn sympathy.
If we must face pain, help us to learn strength.
We must face danger, help us to learn courage.
If we must face failure, help us to learn endurance.
Help us to learn gratitude.
If we attain prosperity, help us to learn generosity.
If we win praise, help us to learn humility.
If we are blessed with joy, help us to learn sharing.
Help us to learn caring.
Whatever the new year may bring, may we confront it honorably and faithfully.
Yes, serenity come to those who find their strength in Shikoah. Thanks to Jerry for all his efforts. If it weren't for Jerry, we'd still have a bulletin, but it'd have a lot more misplaced commas and apostrophes. He dedicates a lot of time to the bulletin. I call him Mr. Redpen. Thank you for your efforts. Page 288, now that you're comfortably seated, please rise. 288, the Kedusha.
נריצך ונקדישך, כי זאת שיח ספי קודש המקדישים שמך בקודש. ככתוב ינמיך וכרזה אל זה ויאמר. קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו, כבודו מלא עולם. משרתיו שואלים זה לזה, האם יקום כבודו, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו יפן ברחמים, בכל המלכדים שמו ערב ובוקר, בכל יום תמיד פעמיים באהבה, שמה אומרים, שמה ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו, והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו שנית, לעיני כל חי, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדיר אדירנו, אדוני אדוננו, מדיר שמך בכל הארץ, והיה כתוב לאמור, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול, כי אל מלך גדול, וקדוש אתה, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה.
We can be seated. We continue on the bottom of the Hebrew, page 290, 290.
Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai, yada dai 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 dai. ואין מליט יושב מול מגיד פשע, ואין מליט יושב מול מגיד פשע, אין מליט יושב מול מגיד פשע, ואין מליט יושב מול מגיד פשע. ידה די 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 די, ידה די 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 די, ידה די 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 די, ידה די 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 די, ידה די 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 די, ידה די 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 די. תגיד ליעקב דבר חוק ומשפט, תגיד ליעקב דבר חוק ומשפט, וצדקנו, וצדקנו במשפט. המלך המשפט, האוחז ביד מידת משפט.
page 292.
וכל מאמינים שהוא אל אמונה הבוחן ובודק כן זה נסתרות וכל מאמינים שהוא בוחן כליות הגואל ממוות ופודה משחת ובכל מאמינים שהוא גואל חזק הדן יחידי לבאי עולם וכל מאמינים שהוא דיין אמת והגוי ביהיה אשר יהיה וכל מאמינים שהוא היה והווה ויהיה הוודאי שמו כן תהילתו וכל מאמינים שהוא ואין בלתו הזוכר מזכירה טובות זיכרונות וכל מאמינים שהוא זוכר הברית החותך חיים לכל חיים וכל מאמינים שהוא חי וקיים הטוב ומיטיב לרעים ולטובים וכל מאמינים שהוא טוב להכל היודע יצר וכל יצורים וכל מאמינים שהוא יוצרם בבטן הכל יכול וכל עולם יחד וכל מאמינים שהוא כל יכול.
We'll continue on page 298.
ותמלוך אתרוני לבדך על כל מעשיך בהר ציון לי משכן כבודך ובירושלים עיר קודשך ככתוב בדברי קודשך ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהיך תהיה לדור ודור הללויה קדוש אתה ונורא שמך ואין אלוה מבלעדיך ככתוב ויקבע אדוני צבאות במשפט והאל הקדוש נקדש בצדקה ברוך אתה אדוני המלך הקדוש.
And we continue with Ochila Leel, page 302, 302.
אשר בגהל עם אשר ראו זו ביער עננות בעד מפעלה תורתך, יהיו לרצונים רעפי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי.
Continue responsively, page 303. Sovereign of the universe, establish your sovereignty over us. May we bend our will to conform to your will, and may our hearts find delight in serving you. O God, who remembers even what we forget, help us to remember who we are and what we are. Help us to remember the Jewish past we have inherited and keep us ever mindful of the Jewish future which we must secure and enrich. O God, who revealed yourself to our ancestors at Sinai amidst the loud blast of the shofar, wherever we stand, we are in your presence. May you always be present to us. May our daily deeds bear witness that you, who revealed yourself to our ancestors, reveal yourself anew through us. We continue now as the ark is opened and we rise on page 304, Aleinu Gadol, again, one of the handful of times during the year that a Jew supplicates him or herself completely, bringing themselves to the ground in yirah and fear and trembling and in awe. Feel free to join us and step out to the aisle.
לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה, ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
The ark can be closed. We can be seated. We'll continue on page 309 as we have a reading by our very own Paul Gregory. He's part of the leadership here. Also, you heard about Zuzim. He's one of the founders of that. You heard about it yesterday, and also a good friend. Page 309.
The will of the living God. What does the sovereignty of God mean in the context of the Hebraic religion? Its implications are inexhaustible, but above everything else, it means that God, who created the universe, is the absolute Lord over nature, life, and history. No aspect of existence escapes God's sovereign rule. All people must bring all of their lives under the will of God, under the whole will of God. Life cannot be departmentalized into secular and sacred, material and spiritual, with the latter alone falling under divine jurisdiction. No such distinction is recognized in the Hebraic religion. The attempt to withdraw anything no matter how seemingly insignificant from divine rule, is branded as an attempt to set up a rival, an idolatrous claim against the sovereignty of God. I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. All life, all existence is governed by one ultimate principle, and that principle is the will of the living God.
Would you choose that? So we'll continue as we turn to page 310. 310.
Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Melech HaKol Olam Kulo, B'chvodecha, V'naseh al kol haaretz bikarecha, V'hofar v'hadar geon uzecha, al kol yoshvei tevel artzecha. וידע כל פעול כי אתה פעלתו, ויבין כל יצור כי אתה יצרתו, ויאמר כל אשר נשמה ויפו, אדוני אלוהי ישראל, מלך ומלכותו, בכל משלה. אלוהינו ולאבותינו, קדשנו במצוותיך ותנחקנו בתורתך, שבענו מטובך ושמחנו בישועתך, ותאר ליבנו לעובדך באמת. כי אתה אלוהים אמת, ודברך אמת, וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל. 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 ביום הזיכרון.
Please rise. Tekiah.
Shvarim Tuah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim Tuah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim Tuah. Tekiah. Continue in the middle of page 310. Seated at the bottom of page 311 in English together. Today is the birthday of the world. On this day, all the world's creatures stand before you in judgment, some as children, some as servants. If you look upon us as children, then pity us as a father pities his children. If you look upon us as servants, then we hope for your graciousness when you judge us, revered and holy God. We continue on page 314 towards the bottom of the page.
ועל ידי עבדיך הנביאים כתוב לאמור הלוך וקראת באוזני ירושלים לאמור כה אמר אדוני
זכרתי לך חסד נעורייך, אהבת כלולותייך, לכתך רעי במדבר, ארץ לא זרוע. ונאמר וזכרתי אני בריתי אותך בימי נעורייך, והקימותי לך ברית עולם. ונאמר אבן יכיר לי אפרים, אם ילד ששויים, כי דברי בך זכר אזכרנו עוד, על כן המו מעלו רחם הרחמנו, רחם הרחמנו. נאום אדוני, נאום אדוני.
Page 316, responsively. You remember, O Lord our God, the past which has molded us, that past which those who went before preserved and bequeathed to us. You remember, O Lord our God, the past which lives in our minds, the heritage rooted in ages, which was nurtured by psalmist and sage, poet and prophet. You remember, O Adonai Eloheinu, the past which lives in our hearts, the past wrought out of hopes of our people, renewed in the dreams of every generation.
We remember, O Lord our God, our past which stressed righteousness, that past which now summons us to justice and mercy, proclaiming that we meet you in deed as well as prayer. Continue on page 320. In the middle of the first paragraph.
וזכרתי להם ברית ראשונים אשר הוצאתי אותם מארץ מצרים לעיני הגויים, להיות להם, לאלוהים. אני אדוני. כי זוכר כל הנשכחות אתה מעולם ואין שכחה לפני כיסא כבודך ועקדת יצחק לשרה היום ברחמים תזכור. ברוך אתה אדוני שזוכר
We rise. Tkiya. Shvarim Tua. Tkiya. Tkiya. Shvarim Tua. Tkiya. Tkiya. Shvarim Tua. Tkiya. Middle of the page. seated. We'll continue the bottom of page 322.
ובדברי קודשך כתוב לאמור, על האלוהים בתרועה, אדוני בקול שופר, ונאמר, בחצות רות וקול שופר, הריעו לפני המלך, אדוני ונאמר, תקראו בחודש שופר, ובכסר יום חגנו, כי חוק לישראל הוא משפט לאלוהי יעקב, ונאמר, הללו, 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 כל הנשמות הללויה, הללו, הללויה, כל הנשמות הללויה, הללו, הללויה, הללו, 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 אל בקודשו, הללו, ברקיע עוזו, הללו, בגבורותיו, הללו, קרוב כולו, הללו, 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 בתקע שופר, הללו, בנבל וכינור, הללו, בתוף ומחול, הללו, במינים ועוגת, הללו, 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 בצלצלי שמה, הללו, בצלצלי תשועה, כל הנשמות הללויה, הללויה, כל הנשמות הללויה, הללויה, הללו, 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 הללו,
We continue on page 326.
אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, תקע בשופר גדול לחירותנו, ושנס לקבץ גלויותינו, ויקרב פזורנו מבין הגויים, ונפוצותינו כנס מירכתי הארץ, וקרב פזורנו מבין הגויים, ונפוצותינו כנס מירכתי הארץ, וקרב פזורנו מבין הגויים, ונפוצותינו כנס מירכתי הארץ. והביאנו לציון עירך ברינה, ולירושלים בית מקדשך, בשמחת עולם, ששם עשו אבותינו לפניך קורבנות חובותיהם, כמו שכתבת בתורתך על ידי משה עבדך, מפי כבודך כאמור. וביום שמחתכם ובמועדיכם ובראשי חודשייכם ותקעתם בחצות רות על עלותיכם ועל זבחי שלמיכם, והיו לכם לזיכרון לפני אלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. כי אתה שומע קול שופר ומאזין תרועה, ואין אותו מלך ברוך אתה אדוני שומע תרועת עמו ישראל ברחמים.
Please rise. Tekiah. Shvarim Chua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim Chua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim Chua. Tekiah. The middle of the page can be seated.
הרשת שפתנו, הרשת שפתנו ירב לפניך ערם ונסתר, מבין ומאזין, מבין ומאזין, מביט ומקשיב, מביט ומקשיב, מבין ומאזין, מביט ומקשיב, לכל, 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 לכל תקיעתנו. ותקבע ברחמים, ברחמים וברצון, ותקבע ברחמים, ברחמים וברצון, סדר, 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 סדר שופרותינו. Ay, 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 מביט ומקשיב, רינו מאזין, מביטו מקשיב, לכל, 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 לכל תקייתנו. ותקבל ברחמים, ברחמים וברצון, תקבל ברחמים, ברחמים וברצון, סדר, 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 שופרותינו.
Continue davening on page 330.
רצה אדוני אלוהינו בעמך ישראל תפילתם, גאווה תקבל ברצון ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך, ותחזינה עינינו בשובך לציון ברחמים, ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר שכינתו לציון. מודים אנחנו לך שאתה אדוני אלוהינו. הטוב כי לא חלו רחמך ולכם כי לא תמו חסדיך מעולם קיווינו לך. ויעלי כולם מתברך ויתרומם שמך ומלכנו תמיד לעולם מבעט. אבינו מלכנו זכור רחמך כבוש כעסך וכלי דבר וחרב ורעב ושבי ומשחית ובעוון ושמד ומגפה ופגרה וכל מחלה וכל תגלה וכל כיתתה וכל מיני פורעניות וכל גזר הרעה ושנאת חינם מעלינו ומעל כל בני בריתך וכתוב לחיים טובים כל בני בריתך וכל החיים יודוך סלה ויהללו את שמך באמת. האל ישועתנו ועזרתנו סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני הטוב שמך ולך נאה להודות. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ברכנו בברכה המשולשת בתורה כתובה ידי משה עבדך המורה מביארון ובניו כהנים עם קדושך כאמור יברכך אדוני וישמרך. יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך. יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
334.
שים שלום טובה וברכה חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו
ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ישראל עמך
בחיינו אבינו כולנו כאחד באור פניך כי באור פניך נתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו שים שלום בעולם שים שלום טובה וברכה חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל
continue on page 336.
ונאמר כי וירבו ימיך ויוסיפו לך שנות חיים לחיים הטובים תכתבנו אלוהים חיים כותבנו בספר החיים ככתוב ואתם הדבקים באדוני אלוהיכם חיים כולכם היום.
We rise as the ark is opened.
היום 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 איתי אמצנו אמן היום 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 איתי גדלנו אמן היום 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 תכתבנו לחיים טובים אמן היום 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 אמן היום 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 תקבל ברכה ממוברצון את תפילתנו אמן היום 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 תתמכנו במין צדקך, אמן. היום תקרבנו לעברותיך לטוב לנו כל הימים לחיותנו כיום הזה. וצדקה ברכה ורחמים וחיים ושלום יהיה לנו ולכל ישראל עד העולם. ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
Amen. The ark is closed. We can be seated. We'll join together at the bottom of 337 in English. May we have peace in our hearts and peace in our homes, peace in our community and peace in our land, peace in Israel and peace throughout the world. Hayom today. Page 338, Kaddish Shalem.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ביעלמה דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן יהי שמי בריחו לעילה ולעילה מקפחתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בימה ויאמרו אמן.
Please rise. Tekiah. Shvarim Chua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim Chua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim Chua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Trua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Trua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Trua. Tekiah Gedola.
תתקבל צלו דהון ובאו דהון לכל ישראל קודם ובהון דיבי שמעיה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמעיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Continue. You can be seated. Page 341. Ein Kelohenu.
אין כאלוהינו, אין כאדוננו, אין כמלכנו, אין כמושיענו, מי כאלוהינו, מי כאדוננו, מי כמלכנו, מי כמושיענו, נודה לאלוהינו, נודה לאדוננו, נודה למלכנו, נודה למושיענו, ברוך אלוהינו, ברוך אדוננו, ברוך מלכנו, ברוך מושיענו, תהו אלוהינו, תהו אדוננו, תהו מלכנו, תהו מושיענו, תהו שכתירו אבותינו לפניך כתורת עשה ממנה ינננה 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 ינננה
Rise one last time, page 342, Aleinu.
עכשיו יקרו בשמיים עמם, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו עיnud, אמת מלכנו אפס עולתו, ככתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום אשר אתה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Can be seated. We'll continue page 346. Right? 345.
Because we believe in you, O God, we hope for the day when your majesty will prevail. When the world will be made a kingdom of God, when all humanity will invoke your name, and the wicked will be turned to you. Before you may all bow in reverence, proclaiming your glory, accepting your sovereignty. So is it written in your Torah, the Lord shall reign forever and ever.
And of course, before we conclude a service, we always remember those who have come before us on this day of remembrance, right? We stand upon the shoulders of many great women, giants in our lives, and so we remember them formally. Today we have the yard sites of Samuel Brinberg, father of Rose Rosenthal, Judith Gordon, mother of Michelle Shiowitz, Samuel Katz, husband of Mrs. Samuel Katz, Eva Price, grandmother of Marjorie Bean, Minnie Siegel, sister of Hyman Sagaloff, and Charles Volovic, husband of Anne Volovic. And we have the recent passings, unfortunately, of Millie Katz and Alpert, Stanley Berenson, Philip Allen Bender, brother of Barbara Abramson, Nathan Lieberson, brother of Len Lieberson, Patricia Richmond, daughter of Hy Sagaloff, Sylvia Stone, mother of Linda Klickstein, Rose Glassner, aunt of Sandy Hirschberg, Sylvia Robinson, mother of Reggie Weinstein, grandmother of Rory Brodsky, and B. Silverman, mother of Amy Sorkin, and Lori Hirschberg, daughter of B. Hirschberg. May all of their memories continue to be an inspiration guiding us in our lives as we now formally remember them. If you're in a period of mourning or observing a yard site, you'll join me on 346. Yitkadal v'yikadash shmei rabbah, b'yama divrachu te v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam lamei almaya, yiparach v'yishtafach v'yipar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha b'richu leila leila minko birchata v'shirata tushmechata v'nechemata damiran b'yama v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya chayim aleinu v'yalko Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu v'yalko Yisrael v'imru amen. Before we conclude, I'd like to invite our co-chairs or a chair or co-chairs come up to share some announcements. And don't forget, tonight begins the most holy of holy holidays, Shabbat, right? And it's Shabbat Shuvah, so you
Shabbat Tshuva means you have to return, so you have to return tonight and tomorrow for Shabbat.
Good afternoon. Once again, Andy and I would just like to wish you all on behalf of the Board of Directors a happy, healthy holiday. May it be a sweet year for all of you. We are thrilled with the influx of new members that we've had in the last 2 weeks even. It's just been amazing. For the new members that are here today, welcome. If you haven't had a chance to introduce yourselves to us, please do so. For all of you that are returning, welcome back. It's wonderful to see you again. We'd just like to take this opportunity to really thank our staff. Everyone here has worked so hard over the last couple of days to pull together the holidays for us. Our clergy, Marla, Barry, Mary Lou, Leslie, Jed, our custodians, Gus, Robert, their staff, our CEO, Bob Krensman, who's done an unbelievable job since coming on since the first of the month. Chris Hockert, I don't know if you're still here, but a shout out to you for helping us whenever we need it. To Roger Talkoff, who's helped us with the sound system. Thank you, we couldn't have done this without you. To our board of directors, to the ushers who have volunteered, and the teachers who have taken time out to help our children today. Oh, and the musicians, thank you so much for adding to our service. Happy holidays, L'Shana Tova.
Special thank you to Jeffrey, Jordan, and Rodrigo. Really added a tremendous depth to these Holy Day services. And so we're going to finish with a final reading on page 350, and then, of course, Adon Olam, page 350.
Read responsibly. May our prayers be pleasing to you because they are spoken in sincerity with truth.
May our prayers be pleasing to you because they are uttered in humility as we acknowledge our frailty, our need for your sustaining strength.
May our prayers be pleasing to you because they are offered in gratitude for your manifold blessings, too numerous to be counted, too constant to be deserved.
May our prayers be pleasing to you because we firmly resolve to take these noble truths with us. Permit them to guide our action in the year ahead.
May our prayers be pleasing to you because the lips which speak them also speak words of hope to the discouraged, cheer to distress, solace to the bereaved, and kindness to all.
May our prayers be pleasing to you because they reflect not only our own words, but the needs of our people.
May our prayers be pleasing to you because they remind us of what you expect of us and because they challenge us to become all that we are capable of being.
Amen. Thank you, John. Amen. And we'll conclude on page 348, Adon Olam.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir divra le'ed nasa v'cheftzo kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני לעם שלו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז המשרה, ולא העוז המשרה, והוא אלי וחי גולי, בצור חבלי ביצרה, והוא ניסי ומנוסי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אפקיד רוחי, ועת תישן ויעירה, ואם רוחי גוויעתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא, אדוני לי ולא אירא.
Shana Tova and Shabbat Shalom.